Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number, I have no idea. I think it's 879 if I'm correct. I can't remember. I didn't write it down. Hey, it's a TowerGate video, I know that. And it is Monday, August the 26th of 2019. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the news of the day and some other thoughts, and of course the dumbass of the week. So I guess many of you have heard by now that Joe Walsh has announced his plan to primary Trump, and he went on ABC News with George Stephanopoulos to let us all know. Now, I'm not talking about Joe Walsh of the Eagles and Rocky Mountain Way and all that good stuff. No, we're not talking about that Joe Walsh. We're talking about the Joe Walsh that nobody's ever heard of. Go up and ask 1,000 people who Joe Walsh is, and they'll tell you, oh yeah, man, he's killer. I love Joe Walsh, man. Rocky Mountain Way, James Gang. I love... No, not that Joe Walsh. The other Joe Walsh, the politician. Huh? Who? I've never heard of a politician named Joe Walsh. Exactly. This guy is going to have a major embarrassment. Trump's the most popular Republican president in my lifetime. And I'm pushing 60, my friends. So, let's see here. That's a long-ass time. He's even more popular than Reagan. Reagan's approvals amongst Republicans was only in the high 80s. Trump's hovering around 94, 95%. That doesn't leave much room, does it? And where's this guy going to raise money? What, with Bill Kristol and the mooch? Okay, I think that Trump and his administration will probably laugh at this, roll their eyes like, yeah, right. So Trump's not even going to respond to this, obviously. They can have a primary. Trump won't even appear. He won't even show up. Joe Walsh can just have the entire stage for however long they want to have the debate, and he can debate himself, I guess. He could probably do that. He will still not get more than 2 or 3% tops. That's the best he'll do. It will be a complete embarrassment for this idiot. And he's from Illinois. He was a one-term congressman from Illinois. That's who this guy is. A one-term congressman from Illinois. So it's a joke. It's a joke. That's the best that we can hope for. It's a joke. Okay. We now have a little bit more insight on Carter Page, which is good because he answered a question a big question that me and a lot of people have had, is how is it that he's, working for the FBI and intel community for a better 2 decades or more, and then he's working with them even up until as late as 2015, early 2016 on this FBI case with these 3 Russian mobsters. And then all of a sudden he gets targeted several months later for a FISA and all these other things about Carter Page. And I'm not saying I'm 100% sold on Carter Page now. I still have questions. But he certainly answered one of them to my satisfaction, which was a pretty important question. And that is exactly why did that happen? Why was he suddenly targeted after all those years of being an asset for them? Well, of course, we know that the deep state has no loyalties. So that part of it's easily understood. But here's essentially what Carter Page told Maria Bartiromo on Sunday morning. Of course, he went through his past. We know he was a naval intelligence officer. So obviously working in naval intelligence, he worked around a lot of intelligence people. He left the military in 1998. He immediately went to work for a think tank. And of course, we know that most of these people working in think tanks are CIA assets. And then, of course, he said he admitted to working for the government as an informant. And he's talking about during this period of 2013 to 2015 when he's helping them out with this investigation into this Russian mob, this mob ring. And it was 3 Russians that they were targeting. Now, as they were doing their investigations and all that, he had supplied information to them. Finally, in March of 2016, they began the process of indicting the first of the 3 Russian spies. Russian mobsters. At which time they came to Carter Page and they said, okay, we're getting ready for the indictment, so we, of course, are going to be witness number 1 or what have you. And they went over with Carter Page, their statement of indictment with him, and he found there to be many things that were problematic, that he didn't think were correct or true. At which point he said, well, you know, some of this stuff here I can't testify to. You know, it's not accurate. I don't think it's true. If you want me to go up in front of a jury and testify to this stuff, I can't do that because I don't think it's true. I can't do that. At which point they, after realizing Carter Page wasn't going to, and he said his own words, basically go lie for the FBI, at that point they decided they would not use him as a witness. So he never testified as a witness in that trial because he refused to lie. And that's what they wanted him to do, was to lie, which he refused to do. So that would certainly explain why they turned on him. That explains and clears up one issue anyway. I think that that would certainly make sense. Says that they wanted him to lie in court, so he refused to provide false testimony, so he never testified in that court case, and he thinks maybe that could be why he was targeted. Yes, that certainly could be true. So anyway, that clears up one thing. I did not know that, so now that we do know that, that explains one thing. I still have other questions. I'm still not 100% sold on Carter Page. There's still some things about him that make me kind of queasy. So, but anyway, he answers that one question, so I'm good with that, but I think there's still more to know about Carter Page. Next we have Mr. Potato Head, John Brennan, digging the hole even deeper. And I mean, the things that this guy is saying, I find there's got to be some angle here that he's playing. I think I know what it may be. I think that what Brennan is going to do is that he is going to try to parse the phrase, the Steele dossier or the Steele information. I think he's going to try to parse that out and say, well, we were getting intelligence. And of course that intelligence will be everything that was coming from Christopher Steele. But he is going to disassociate, or try to disassociate, Steele and the Steele dossier from the intelligence that he was gathering or receiving from foreign governments. This is the role is how he's going to play it. That is still bad, because once you dig into this and you look into the origins, as Durham and Barr are, you're going to find that the information that was being passed along to him was coming from foreign intelligence, but it was based on operations that were set in place by likely American intelligence officials, including himself. The CIA and other foreign government intelligence agencies were producing and manufacturing the evidence, which was then being laundered through foreign intelligence agencies back to the CIA, and then he was turning it over to the FBI. This is what all the evidence that we have in front of us appears to show. And I think this is what Barr and Durham are going to find. So Mr. Potato Head literally says that he didn't know that the Russians were looking for Hillary's emails until after he left office. He says that he didn't know that the Trump Tower meeting happened until after he left office. He says he didn't know about Papadopoulos meeting with Mifsud until after he left office. You gotta be kidding me. We know that Brennan was briefing Obama throughout the spring, summer, and fall of 2016. We know that he was a participant in setting up that meeting on January 6th. He, Clapper, and Comey set up so that Comey could brief Trump to provide the news hook for CNN to leak the dossier information, or the fact that there was an investigation. around information from the dossier, and then the following day, BuzzFeed releases the dossier. There's overwhelming evidence and a massive paper trail that Brennan was involved at least, at the latest, March of 2016, and very likely going back to 2015, maybe even 2014. I have no idea how he thinks he's going to make this fly. Now, these statements were not made, all these statements were not made under oath. These are statements he made to Rachel Maddow and Chris Hayes and people at MSNBC. I am pretty damn sure that once he's in front of a grand jury, he won't be making these statements, because Barr and Durham will have plenty of evidence to prove the opposite. We know that he admitted that he discussed the Russians having dirt on Hillary with James Comey and Mike Rogers while he was the CIA director. He's admitted that in front of Congress under oath. He admitted that he had discussed with Comey and Rogers the Russians having dirt on Hillary while he was the CIA director. Somehow he wants us to believe that having dirt on Hillary and having these discussions would have been completely disconnected from Christopher Steele and the so-called dossier information. He wants us to believe that he would be having these discussions with Comey there, and that Comey wouldn't bring up the dossier or Christopher Steele, because Comey sure as hell knew about Christopher Steele and the dossier, certainly no later than July the 15th, which is when Steele met with FBI agent Mr. Gatta over in Rome. My oh my. Whew. Mr. Potato Head. Lying sack of shit. Maybe he... it's almost like the OJ thing, where if you tell yourself these things over and over and over again, maybe you can actually convince yourself that you believe your lies. It's the only thing I can think of. Or he's demented or something. This is not going to fly. Well, it looks like April Ryan, Comrade Harambe, has finally spoken out after 3 weeks regarding this incident where one of her bodyguards or paid security staff basically assaulted a Canadian reporter, who, by the way, is a hardcore anti-Trumper, and made it very obvious to several people there, including people around Ryan, that he was a hardcore anti-Trumper. Of course, you probably saw the video. The bodyguard roughed him up, took his camera. Another guy appears to pull a gun. It was kind of an ugly scene. This was during the time when April Ryan was giving a speech. Apparently she doesn't allow cameras or things like that when she's doing her speeches. I'm not sure why. She's a journalist. She claims to be a journalist, but she's not really a journalist. She's just a paid propagandist for CNN. So, of course, this reporter filed a lawsuit, which includes her, April Ryan, and, of course, the cops looked at his statement and decided, yeah, there's enough of an accusation here to proceed with a criminal, not indictment, but a criminal charge. And so, of course, this bodyguard's going to be having to face, having to appear in court to face assault charges here shortly. And, of course, they're saying also that this reporter was not cleared when, in fact, he's got documentation, which he has now presented online, to show, in fact, he absolutely was cleared. His news organization he works for went through all the procedures. He was cleared to be there and to film or video the speech. And so this does not look good for Harambe Ryan. But we'll see how this turns out. Depends on what kind of liberal judge that they get. but it seems pretty overwhelming. It's a First Amendment violation. Even some liberal judges will take a harder look at that, but we'll see exactly what happens there. I imagine Ryan has probably got her own attorney, and she's probably also going to have CNN will probably have legal representation as well. She, of course, will face no problems there at CNN at all. Zucker will no doubt protect her. She could do anything. She will be protected by the Criminal News Network. But that's an update on that story. Of course, Trump was at G7 over the weekend, and I mean, he just absolutely just blew it away. Just extraordinary to see, you know, two things, particularly when a lot of these G7 leaders were asked about Trump taking on China. You know, while they don't seem to be terribly enthusiastic about, you know, how he's going about it and the rhetoric around it, they all agree that, yeah, China needs to be reined in because China is hurting all of them too. But more importantly, they know how it looks to the average worker in their country, the average worker in European countries who know what China's up to and what China does, is looking at Trump and saying, wow, we wish we had our president was taking China to task and protecting and defending us. To the Europeans, Trump is doing a better job of defending middle class and manufacturers and things like that in Europe than any of their leaders are. So they're in a tough position. They're in a pickle. It's hard for them to say they don't support it because they know what their own citizens in their own countries make of all of this. And so they have no choice but to sort of tacitly give support to Trump, even though most of them would rather not because they're in bed with the globalists and they're all for China ripping them off because they benefit from it in a big way. Trump knows that. And also you hear the Europeans, something else I thought was really funny, as you're hearing Macron, they were interviewing him, and he's like, yeah, well, you know, we're taking a look at how great the American economy is, and, you know, we're starting to think about maybe doing some tax cuts of our own. So now he's actually got the Euro commies, he's got the Euro commies, the Euro peons, actually talking about maybe trying some tax cuts. Big win, big win. He also made good progress with Boris Johnson on putting together a trade deal, a big trade deal with the UK in the next several months to come. I think they've already got a working teams together who will begin meeting here shortly to begin working out a really big trade deal with the UK, and that's very good for them because they're likely going to have a hard Brexit, and there could be some chaos in the markets there in the UK. It would be nice if there was already some deal in place where they could immediately shift their trade to the U.S. We have a lot of things that we can buy from the UK. We have a lot of things that we can sell the UK. They don't need the EU. They don't need China. We can do without both. Then, of course, we have a deal that is very close to being, it was pretty much verbally agreed to by the U.S. and Japan. So it looks like a U.S.-Japan trade deal is probably next on the horizon. And all this is leading up to, in the next couple weeks, as soon as Congress comes back in session here in about 2 weeks, one of the first things that they'll be dealing with is, of course, getting Congress to ratify or approve the trade deals that Trump administration has done with Canada and Mexico. And, of course, there's going to be tremendous political pressure on the Democrats not to sign on to Trump administration's trade deal with Canada and Mexico, but at the same time there will be huge blowback for them if they do not, because everyone knows that these are two deals are great for the U.S. and so the Democrats are going to be faced with a very tough position. Either not allow Trump a win by approving these trade deals, in which case they really damage themselves with their base, and especially in states where they know they have to win, especially with farmers, manufacturers, and people like that. I mean, if the Democrats do fail to approve of Trump administration's trade deals with Canada and Mexico, it will do a devastating blow to Democrats in the 2020 election, and it will carry on beyond 2020. It'll carry on to 2024 as long as it takes until the Democrats finally do sign on to this trade deal. I mean, it will be, that will be devastating. I mean, all the other things that they talk about, you know, stuff that maybe people follow every day on Twitter, but when it comes down to election day, this trade deal with Mexico and Canada being approved, and by then Japan and possibly even the UK trade deal, maybe even the China deal by then, all these deals, if the Democrats do not sign on to them, do not approve them, they will pay major, heavy price, and I mean heavy, as in like Trump could win re-election with probably over 300 electoral votes. In fact, it could be 325. It could be closing on 350. I mean, Trump could literally win 44, 45 states if the Democrats fail to approve these trade deals. That's how devastating this could be for the Democrats. These are really big deals when it comes to actual voting on issues in elections. Okay, gonna have to get to Dumbass of the Week here in about 2 minutes. I gotta skip a few things. What will we talk about? Yeah, one thing before we get to Dumbass of the Week. Just more evidence as we continue to go back through things that we've learned in the past, compare them with new things that have come out recently. More evidence that the investigation into the Trump campaign by the deep state began much earlier than what we were told, which is we're told it was July 31st, 2016, Operation Crossfire Hurricane. Of course, we know that that is total BS. We've known that here for a very long time, but just a few data points for you here just to prove that that's not true. Of course, we know that the fat man, Stefan Halper's first payment was in September of 2015. We know that Nellie Ohr worked for Fusion GPS in October of 2015. We know that Strzok and Page talked about the Oconus lures that will be overseas spies. They had that conversation about that being approved in December of 2015. And now we have Bruce Ohr. We're finding out that he actually met with Christopher Steele in early October of 2015. Early October 2015, he met with Steele. That's 7 months before he even officially began working for Confusion GPS. Steele and Ohr were talking in October of 2015, the exact same time that Nellie Ohr went to work for Fusion GPS, the exact same time that individuals, contractors were accessing the NSA database. And of course we learned that Nellie's work was going directly to the rotten Reverend Clinton, Jonathan Weiner, and the FBI. My oh my. There you go. Okay, let's get to Dumbass of the Week. Alrighty, we have, and by the way, this week my personal favorite was some very good choices. But my personal favorite this week had to be Jill Biden. Jill Biden. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that before. A first lady literally went out saying, yeah, my husband pretty much sucks, but he's better than the rest of the field. They suck worse. Not exactly a glowing endorsement. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite that bad. And it shows you that it isn't just Joe Biden that's a gaffe master. His wife is a gaffe master equally as good as him. So that had to be my pick for the week. Anyway, let's go with Gregory. He went with the Hammerheads who hired Peter Strzok, just as Byrne names him in another scandal. Yep. Very interesting. The whole timing of this whole Patrick Byrne. The problem I have, not so much with the story in general, although there's some issues there, it's very scattered. I don't know what to make of it, but it's the timing that bothers me. It's the timing. We have Sane Environmentalist. He's going with Biden and then Tlaib and Omar. Hey is going with CNN McCabe. The CNN McCabe thing. McCabe hiring, CNN hiring McCabe. I think that's going to end very badly. Very badly. Yeah, it's not going to age very well for CNN or McCabe. Let's see. We have Lee. Lee went with Patrick Byrne, Joe Biden, and Cuomo. That's right. Fredo Cuomo. We have Jeanette. She's going with CNN and McCabe as well, along with Talib and Cortez. Rose. Rose likes AOC along with Talib. Can never go wrong with those two. Peter James, our friend in the great Northwest, holding down the fort up there, and by the way, Peter, I think the Republicans should send some assets into Washington in 2020. I think 2020 Washington State is in play. Nancy, he's going with Piglosi, AOC for a second pick, and the Mooch. He's going with the Mooch. Very good pick. Not too many people on the Mooch this week, but he certainly is very, very deserving of that award. He is truly a dumbass. J.C. Hastings also going with CNN/McCabe, and of course Talib and AOC. We have Lori Holt. She also going with CNN, specifically focusing on Jeff Zucker for hiring McCabe, and Biden and the Mooch. So Lori Holt, she's on the Mooch. Walker on the Hill. He's going with Joe Walsh. Exactly. Joe Walsh, he may prove to be the biggest dumbass of the month. I mean, this guy's going to be embarrassed. I mean, just literally embarrassed. It's going to be hilarious. Thank you so much, Walker on the Hill. Dennis Waddell, going with Biden. And, of course, making note that the penguin is the smartest animal of the week for recognizing the bird brain of Ocasio-Cortez. He's referring to the video clip. I don't know how many of you saw it, the video clip of Ocasio-Cortez at the zoo. She went to the zoo, and she's playing with this penguin. She's running over here. The penguin follows her. She runs back. The penguin follows her. She does it back and forth. Then she starts going up and down. The penguin goes up and down. It was hilarious watching Cortez being entertained by a penguin. And I think he was playing her. I think the penguin literally is smarter than Cortez. Well done, Dennis Waddell. Joey D. Joey D is going with Tom Bergeron, however you say his name, over on ABC, as well as ABC for putting Ray Lewis on Dancing with the Stars, along with Sean Spicer. So I think his general take here, if I'm getting this correctly from Joey D, is having a lot to do with the Dancing of the Stars, Dumbass of the Week, Bergeron from ABC. Hopefully I got that right. Ricky Ricardo, he's going with Obama for forcing America to suffer a decade of bull. Yeah, and one of the biggest pieces of bull we had to suffer through is this, if you remember, this was back in, like, I don't know, there was a speech he gave when he was running, I think the first time, I think it was actually 2008, where he was talking about how we were going to lose, like, feet or miles, I don't know how much, but he was talking about we're going to lose all this beachfront, we're going to lose all the beachfronts and stuff because of the climate change, the water level's going to rise, we're going to lose the beaches and all this sort of thing. Well, if Obama really believed that, would he have just spent $15 million on a beachfront home? If he really believes that the oceans are going to come up and overtake all these acres up on the beach and houses sitting there, no, he would never have bought a beachfront property for $15 million if he really believed that the rising ocean levels were going to flood his house. So no, Barrio is BSing us. He doesn't believe in that climate change bullshit any more than we do, and he just proved it by buying this house. Very good point, Ricky Ricardo. Sherman Lynn's going to go with CNN and McCabe. Jonathan, CNN. The Rotten Reverend Clinton and Hassan Piker. Oh, yes. We have Freddie Schaffer. He's going to go with Talib, Cortez, and the House of Representatives for not sanctioning Talib. Well done. Ginger Lee. Anyone who believes the Patrick Burns story. Clearly, Ginger Lee is not buying it. And, I don't blame her for not buying it. A lot of people don't buy it. I don't necessarily say that I'm 100% in the I don't buy it category. I'm in that category of I don't think it is what he's presenting it to be. I think there's a lot of things he doesn't know. I'm not 100% down. I'm not down with him, but I'm not like 100%. I don't know what to think at this point, but I don't think it's 100% bullshit. But there's something going on. The timing of it bothers me. And I don't know how it all plays out. I hope we do get more information on it. But put me in the highly, highly skeptical category. But clearly Ginger Lee is not buying any of it. And I certainly don't fault her for that. She's got every reason to question every bit of it. Youngblood, going with Patrick Byrne, and has a lot to do with his connections. It's a very good comment he makes. He lays out some connections of Patrick Byrne to Peter Strzok's wife, some other connections that I didn't even know about. You might want to take a look at the comments there by Youngblood. They're pretty revealing, let's just say. So thank you so much, Youngblood, for that information. I wasn't aware of that. Peter Swales, he's going to go with YouTube first, and he's going to go with me. Me is Dumbass of the Week. It's not the first time I've been nominated. In fact, it's like the third or fourth time. Hell, I've nominated myself before. But he's saying me because I've stopped saying they're all going to go to jail. So let me help you out there, Peter. I forgot that maybe it's just something I've said recently, but yes, I still do believe that many people, dozens of people, are going to go to jail, going to be indicted in the Spygate fiasco. I absolutely do believe that's going to happen, one way or another. And also, he likes Bill Clinton as his other pick for posing for that portrait in the blue dress. I don't know if he posed for that portrait or not. The artist doesn't say, who painted it, doesn't say he posed for it, but it's quite funny to picture that happening. Rocker Mom, she's going with AOC. You can always feel safe in going with AOC for Dumbass of the Week. She'll never disappoint. Ed Lauder, he's going to go with Joe and Jill. Yeah, definitely not Jack and Jill. No, Joe and Jill. And again, that was my pick for the week. Jill Stein was my pick, but Joe Biden, I mean, my God, I mean, he made another big gaffe today, saying that he's in New Hampshire, and they're asking about how he likes being in town and stuff like that. And he starts, oh, yeah, this is great. I love the people here. I love coming here. It's just fantastic. It's just great here in Vermont. He's in New Hampshire. You want to insult people in New Hampshire? Stand around a group of them and tell them how great it is to be in New Hampshire. Or Vermont, rather. Tell a bunch of people in New Hampshire how great it is to be in Vermont. Probably not a good idea. He's a basket case, man. And his wife is no better. So, yes, Joe and Jill. Thanks very much, Ed. Let's see. We have Jamie. He's going to go with Barr and Biden. Barr and Biden. I hope you're wrong about Barr. You're absolutely 100% right about Biden. I hope you're wrong about Barr. Judy Moore. Everyone on YouTube that says that Trump won't run or will lose in 2020. Absolutely right, Judy. I don't know where these people are coming from. I don't know what universe they live in. I think Twitter. I think the Twitter universe is where they live, and they exist in an echo chamber. They only talk to people that think like them and that type of thing. They really do live in a parallel universe from all of us. So you are right about that, and that is the explanation, by the way. Stage Door Johnny is going to go with AOC, Omar and Talib, and Fredo Cuomo. 3 solid picks. Jack Kennedy also going to go with Bill Barr. He's got like 3 or 4 votes this week, and he's been getting 2, 3, 4 votes every week. So a lot of people skeptical of Bill Barr. I hope you're wrong about Bill Barr. I'm cautiously optimistic about him. Again, as I've said before, I don't think he came out of retirement I don't think he hired a prosecutor to Durham, and he's doing all these things. I don't think he needed any of that just to ruin his reputation. I think Barr is going to get it done. I think he's going to try to protect Obama. He might even try to protect Hillary, but I do believe he is going to take down the Strzoks and McCabe's and possibly likely Comey, people like that. I think he's going to take down some people, and it should be dozens. Gene, he's going to go with Biden, Talib, and AOC. Boy, that's 3 solid picks. Gordon, he likes Biden and AOC. Again, solid picks. You can never go wrong with those people. Patty Willing, she's right on board with that. Biden, AOC, and Fredo. Man, some people make very solid picks. If you're going to go to the racetrack, you might want to take Patty and Gordon with you, along with Gene. Fern, you might want to bring her along as well. She's going with Jill Biden. Hey, me and Fern are the only 2 people that took Jill Biden. Alrighty, that means that the winner of Dumbass of the Week for this week is the Bidens. I put them together. Joe Biden and Joe Biden together. The Bidens are the Dumbasses of the Week, followed closely, very, very closely, by 2 votes, CNN and /McCabe. So the CNN /McCabe is number 2, and AOC, Ocasio-Cortez locks in her position there at number 3. Ocasio-Cortez, she's almost as smart as a penguin, but not quite. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See ya. Bye.